Where and when the first humans arrived in North America has long been one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. For generations, scientists have debated the timeline in classrooms, conferences, and journals, often fiercely. But a recent discovery in the high desert of Oregon is forcing researchers to reconsider everything they thought they knew. New evidence suggests that humans were present in the Americas thousands of years earlier than once believed. In central Oregon, amid rugged volcanic terrain, a shallow rock shelter known as Rimrock Draw has emerged as one of the most significant archaeological sites ever discovered in North America. What researchers have uncovered here may represent the oldest confirmed human occupation on the continent, older than any site previously documented. Excavations at Rimrock Draw began in 2011, just outside the small town of Riley. Archaeologists were initially drawn to the site after surface artifacts hinted at ancient human activity. But it wasn't until the team began digging deeper that the true importance of the shelter came into focus. Led by researchers from the University of Oregon's Museum of Natural and Cultural History, the excavation team employed state-of-the-art archaeological techniques to carefully remove sediment without disturbing fragile evidence. What they found was extraordinary. Animal remains, finely crafted stone tools and weapons made from materials not native to the immediate area, clear signs of deliberate human occupation. For decades, the prevailing theory held that the first Americans were members of the Clovis culture, who arrived around 13,000 years ago. According to this model, humans crossed from Siberia into North America over a land bridge known as Beringia, then migrated south through an ice-free corridor between massive continental ice sheets. But mounting evidence has steadily eroded this theory. Geological studies now show that the ice-free corridor did not open until roughly 11,000 to 12,000 years ago, and even then, it would have been an inhospitable, barren landscape for centuries. This timeline simply does not align with earlier archaeological discoveries. The debate intensified when sites such as Meadowcroft Rock Shelter in Pennsylvania and Cooper's Ferry in Idaho were dated to at least 16,000 years ago. These findings suggested that humans were present long before the corridor was viable. As a result, many scientists began favoring the Kelp Highway hypothesis, which proposes that early people traveled south along the Pacific coast by boat, exploiting rich marine ecosystems filled with kelp forests, seals, fish, and shellfish. Then, Rimrock Draw changed everything. The first major breakthrough came when archaeologists uncovered fragments of camel teeth and jawbones deep within the shelter. This discovery alone was remarkable. Few people realize that camels originally evolved in North America before migrating to Asia and Africa, eventually going extinct on their native continent.
The remains belonged to Camelops hesternus, a massive Ice Age camel that stood nearly 7 feet tall at the shoulder and weighed up to 1,800 pounds. But these were not the remains of an animal that died naturally. The bones bore clear-cut marks, and stone tools were found in direct association with them. Strong evidence that the camel had been deliberately hunted and butchered by humans. Crucially, the camel remains were found beneath a thick layer of volcanic ash. In archaeology, volcanic ash is invaluable. Each eruption produces ash with a unique chemical signature, allowing scientists to precisely identify its source and age through a process called tephrochronology. This ash layer was traced to a massive eruption of Mount St. Helens, not the 1980 eruption, but a much older event known as the Set S eruption, which occurred over 15,600 years ago. The ash effectively sealed the remains below it, creating an unmistakable time marker. radiocarbon dating of the camel tooth enamel delivered a stunning result, approximately 18,250 years before present. In scientific terms, before present, or BP, is measured from the year 1950, the standard reference point for radiocarbon dating due to changes in atmospheric carbon caused by nuclear testing. But the discoveries didn't stop there. Archaeologists also recovered finely crafted stone scrapers made from orange agate, a material prized for its ability to fracture like glass, producing razor-sharp edges. Significantly, orange agate does not occur naturally in the basalt surrounding the shelter. This means it was deliberately transported from elsewhere, either through long-distance travel or trade. One of these scrapers underwent residue analysis, a chemical process capable of detecting ancient proteins preserved in microscopic cracks within stone tools. The results were unequivocal. Bison blood residue was present. This provided direct evidence that the tool had been used to butcher large game, likely Bison antiquus, the Ice Age ancestor of today's buffalo. Another scraper was discovered even deeper within the sediment, beneath additional layers of volcanic ash. This confirmed that humans were present at Rimrock Draw well before the Mount St. Helens eruption. The careful selection of non-local materials, repeated tool use, and evidence of large game processing all point to more than a brief visit. These early humans demonstrated technological sophistication, environmental knowledge, and long-term planning, hallmarks of a settled or repeatedly occupied site, not a transient camp. Even more remarkable is the timing. These people lived here during the last glacial maximum, when ice sheets were at their greatest extent and sea levels were hundreds of feet lower than today. Yet despite the harsh conditions, humans were thriving, hunting camels and bison in what is now Oregon 18,000 years ago. Stratigraphy, the study of layered sediments, confirms this timeline. According to the law of superposition, older layers lie beneath younger ones. Since the deepest tools were found below both the camel remains and the volcanic ash, they must be even older. This makes Rimrock Draw, at present, the oldest known human occupation site in North America, predating the Clovis culture by more than 5,000 years. Some archaeologists involved in the project believed the site could be older still. The 18,250-year date comes from an associated animal remain, not a directly dated human tool or hearth. In archaeology, such dates represent a minimum age, meaning the human activity must be at least that old, and possibly much older. If future testing confirms dates approaching or exceeding 20,000 years, Rimrock Draw could fundamentally rewrite the story of how and when humans first entered the Americas. As excavations continue, each newly dated artifact brings us closer to answering one of humanity's oldest questions. Who were the first Americans, and when did they finally call this continent home? Thank you for watching. If you found this discovery fascinating, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share your thoughts in the comments, and pass this story along to a fellow history enthusiast. Until the next discovery.